We're back, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're here. We're queer.
Episode 5? Question mark?
Yeah.
Episode 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at us go.
Trugging along.
Of A24.
Of A24, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I've come to the conclusion that we're gonna do this. We're gonna do series of seasons.
Yeah.
You know, like Best Slash Worst was 10 episode season.
Yep.
You know. Now we're on A24. We'll do 10 if we're feeling better. We can do more.
Yeah, maybe we'll switch it up. Have a different criteria.
Yeah. And then
maybe we'll do Adam
evolve
Sandler
into something
movies.
else. We can always go back.
Yeah.
Actually, no. We could do Adam Sandler Netflix movies.
Yeah.
No.
That's a good
I did come up with something for our next one. I'll tell you off air.
Discuss it at a later date.
Yeah.
No, just say it and then we'll edit it out. Just like that Tiger Belly podcast.
I want it to be a
That's what they do.
surprise. I want to be a surprise for our listeners.
All right, we'll save it.
All right. This week we'll be talking about First Reformed.
Hey.
Hey now.
I know.
It is written and directed by Paul Schrader,
Mm-hmm.
who he is famous mostly for co-writing 4 Martin Scorsese films, including Taxi Driver, which
Yeah.
they say this is the spiritual
Yeah.
recreation of it.
Yeah, I read a lot of things that how the director either realized it after the fact that how many connections are.
I've asked Tom this because we watched that movie. You've seen it. You were never really here.
Yep.
And they compare that to Taxi Driver.
Yep.
And have you seen Taxi Driver?
No.
Oh, okay. So I guess I'm the only one who's seen it.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot like First Reformed.
Hey, really?
Yeah, like pretty much beat for beat in a lot.
Well, a lot of
that's weird.
I was reading even the stomach cancer is the same thing, and the planning to do something and then aborting mission at the last second is another thing.
But in Taxi Driver, he saves a prostitute from getting killed by this whorehouse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's this crazy scene where he shoots and kills these fucking pimps and shit.
Wow.
And it's a young Jodie Foster. Is
Wow.
the girl that he saves. This
Jodie
13-year-old.
Foster.
This 13-year-old
Who's
prostitute.
the guy?
It's Robert De Niro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a great. It's
Oh, right.
yeah.
Jodie
he
Foster.
shaves his head. He has a mohawk.
Yeah.
But in that movie, he is gonna assassinate a politician,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I think it has to do with the Vietnam War. Is what he's because I think he's an ex-vet. And that one, he's not a priest in that one. Obviously, he's an ex-Vietnam War vet, and he's gonna assassinate a politician.
Yeah, because I read something too that it was also in First Reformed, it's about climate change that starts eating away at him, and then in Taxi Driver, it's also about New York, how the crime and the corruption and all that is getting to it, and he's trying to fight against it.
Because just like in this movie, remember the scene where he's driving around in his car, he's looking at stuff.
Yeah,
Same in Taxi Driver, he does the same thing. He's driving around New York, and it's it's not the city that when he went to Vietnam, and then he comes back and his eyes are opened.
Yeah,
And in this movie, obviously, the death of a character we'll talk about is what opens his eyes.
Yep.
It's fucking mad similar. He also co-wrote Raging Bull, which I've never seen. I've always wanted to see that boxing movie with Robert De Niro.
Oh,
Martin Scorsese movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be amazing.
And he also co-wrote The Last Temptation of Christ and Bringing Out the Dead for Martin Scorsese. And he's also directed 18 other movies, but I don't know any of them. I'm not going to lie. But this is his biggest hit. This is the movie where he actually got his first Oscar nom for screenplay.
For this movie?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
He didn't win, though.
No, he didn't win.
Was it for original screenplay?
Yes. Yeah. Best screenplay, it says.
Oh, just
I think it was original. Actually, it might be adapted because it's I think it might be adapted because it says it's inspired by the novel The Diary of a Country Country Priest. So I don't know if that would make it adapted.
I did read that too. Yeah.
But anyway, all right. This movie stars Ethan Hawke, Amanda Seyfried, Cedric the Entertainer.
Cedric Kyle.
Yes, or Cedric Kyles.
Please.
That's so weird.
Yes. We'll get to that later, but let's make that known.
All right. And it follows a Protestant minister faced with questions of faith and morality while serving as a pastor of a dwindling historical church.
Good.
Yeah, right?
Good.
Super accurate.
Super accurate.
In an acute little package.
Now, this movie premiered on August 31st at Venice. August 31st, 2017 at the Venice International Film Festival. Came out May 18th, 2018, so it's about a little over a year now. It had a budget of $3.5 million, and it made $3.8 million. So
Success.
Wow.
No. If you include marketing and all that shit, they definitely lost money.
Yeah, that's true.
But these indie movies don't make money, as we've learned from doing this podcast.
And they shot it in 20 days.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Wicked short.
That's crazy. The acting is so well done.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
All right, let's get into the plot.
Plot,
All right, now the plot, I was reading into this. I'm going to read it, but it does say things that happen later in the movie. Well, you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, Reverend Ernst. His name's Ernst.
Yeah.
What is that? Is there anything about the facts you say anything like that? About
No,
why?
because I was wondering that too. Because I think the
Is it
only
from the
time I ever hear that is the very end.
Yeah, the very end. Yeah, they call him Toller throughout the movie.
Toller, yeah.
His name's Reverend Ernst Toller. Is the pastor of the First Reformed Church in Snowbridge, New York, who's struggling through a crisis of faith. The film opens up with him writing down his thoughts in a journal for a year, after which he intends to destroy it. He leads a 250-year-old Dutch Reformed church was once... This is where I'm saying. A Dutch Reformed church that was once the stop of an underground railroad. Like, why would they throw that in
what's
right
the
there?
point?
When that happens fucking an hour and 30 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
In a fucking small scene.
Yeah, it's a tiny little
But they throw it in
scene.
the Wikipedia in the first fucking paragraph.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyhow, it faces dwindling attendance under Toller's leadership, which has taken the church in a new direction and away from its historical focus on Calvinist theology, and today serves mostly as a tourist attraction. In trying to manage his own life issues, such as alcoholism, Toller seeks a deeper experience through reading Roman Catholic writers G.K. Chesterton and Thomas Merton. So this stuff doesn't even happen in the movie.
It's probably just all the stuff he's
It's
quoting.
the stuff he's reading and quoting. But,
Yeah.
But Cedric the Entertainer does bring up the Thomas Merton guy.
Yeah,
remember in The
yeah.
Oh,
Office?
yeah.
And this is leading Toller in a new spiritual direction, which is making him seek support from a nearby mega church, Abundant Life, which owns First Reformed. Right? I mean, it's not really the beginning of the movie, but that's the...
Yeah, I mean, that's an arcing plot.
Yeah, it's like this is actually one of the worst written plots on Wikipedia I've ever read for the podcast. It's setting a record.
Yeah, because you could have just started with like
How the movie started by memory. We just watched it.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
instead
yeah.
I'm reading this, and it's like literally not even the beginning of the movie.
you know.
So the movie does begin where he's giving a service, right?
Yep.
And Amanda Seyfried's character, after the service, comes up to him and says that she wants him to come see her husband, Michael, and she's worried about him, and he agrees. So the next day, he goes to the house and he meets the husband of Amanda Seyfried,
Michael,
and he is definitely
eccentric.
crazy man, activist.
Yeah, of climate change.
Yeah, who's obsessed with climate change.
He's a goddamn tree hugger.
and he's definitely has some radical, alarming.
Yeah, and what he was
things
in the
going on.
army or whatever.
Yeah, he was in something in Canada,
Yeah.
right? And he came back, and now he's acting
And
strange.
he's got PTSD.
Yeah, he definitely has PTSD. And they get in a crazy 15-minute. That was one of the best scenes in the movie.
Oh yeah, hands
that.
down.
That was in the first 20 minutes of the whole movie. So you're like, that scene. I was like, whoa, what are we in for?
Yeah,
Because it was such well written dialogue, and that ending explain video we watched. The movie is shot and the camera never moves, so it's all still frames.
Yeah.
And I love that scene where it's just them sitting in front of each other, and it does feel like you're watching a real conversation. between
Yeah, it does.
two people.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's such well written dialogue, and man, Ethan Hawke. I can't believe he wasn't nominated for an Oscar for this movie.
Yeah, he
Isn't that
was
shocking?
really, really good in it. And
That's
if
fucking
that guy,
insane.
if the Michael character obviously was in it for longer, then
Yeah, if he was in more of the movie, he was giving a good performance too. But he leaves the movie early on, and we'll tell you why. All right, so the next day he's supposed to meet. He makes an appointment with Michael after a long exchange, saying, "Well, let's meet again." And he's worried about him. So then the next day, what happens? He goes.
Gets a text from.
He gets a text
with
from.
location change. For
Well,
the
yeah,
meeting.
but first it was canceling it, right?
Yeah.
Then what happens next?
He says meet. He says no.
Meet
He just texts
tomorrow.
him and says meet me at the park.
Okay, meet me at the park.
Yeah.
Right. So he goes to meet him at the park, and his car is parked there, and he goes into the woods looking for Michael, and he finds his dead body with his head blown off,
Yeah, with a shotgun.
with a shotgun next to it.
And
And he killed
they
himself.
graphically show it.
Yeah. But oh wait, he does cancel. I'm sorry, he does cancel, and then the wife calls Toller and says, "Come to the house. I need to show you something."
Mm-hmm.
That's when he goes there.
Oh, yep.
And she brings him to the garage, and Michael had a suicide bomb vest in a box in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
So then Toller takes it, tells her that he's not going to call the cops. Hides it.
Yeah.
So then obviously the next day,
Then he plans a second meeting.
yes, the suicide happens.
Yeah.
So then he goes to the house. He's consoling Amanda Seyfried, and he finds a note with a will. Mm-hmm. And then they do the spreading of the ashes.
The will had like specific instructions for how he wanted his funeral and ash spreading to go, and it was at like some toxic waste dump area that was like, when the Reverend pulled it up on Google, it was all like articles about like what happens if you drank the water from this place. And, like, that's showing dead animals and stuff that from being in that water.
Yeah.
So he goes and does that.
Yeah, so he goes and does that.
And has the choir come.
Yeah, then the next day, he's meeting with Cedric the Entertainer, who's the leader of the Abundant Life Church. And then the head of the chemical plant, I forgot what the name was, Bark or B-A-R-Q, what was it called? I don't know, maybe
Balak?
it says Balak?
Yeah, B-A-L-Q.
It might actually say it here, but
I think it was B-A-L-Q.
So he meets with them, and the guy starts telling them that at the
he's also the guy funding the whole movie takes place in like an 8-week time span of where the church is going to hit its 250th anniversary of being built, and they're going to do the big ceremony. And the guy, what's that actor's name? What is that dog killing?
Oh yeah,
I don't know. He wasn't in. Oh, it's rare. Wait.
Looks like a Ben.
Yeah, Bill Hoag.
Bill Hoag.
Yeah.
Yeah, him. That character, the head of the chemical plant, is the guy funding, like, the repairs being done to the church. The organ was broken down.
Yeah.
There's kind of a common theme of there being broken everything. The faucet is leaking in the beginning, and the Reverend tries to fix it, and then it doesn't work, and he has to go fix it again. They show him trying to unclog a toilet. The organ's broken. They're desperate for money because they show it they emphasize on the fact that the church is more of a tourist stop, because they show a scene where there's people in there being given a tour, and there's like a gift shop, and he's like trying to peddle the hat and the shirts and stuff, and they
didn't even have any more size shirts.
He didn't even have
small.
What size are these? Like, only smalls. Like, and he's like, but the hat's great, and it fits all sizes. It's like, dude, you can suck off with your fucking $11 hat. You can tell like the common theme is that it's like broken.
Yeah.
Money, financially, physically. But then that guy is the guy spending all the big bucks to get all the repairs. Mm-hmm. And then finally he meets that guy.
Yeah, and he pretty much scolds Toller because he did that ceremony at that toxic waste dump, and it was a protest, but obviously Ethan Hawke wasn't really aware that it was a protest at the time. So then
that was fucked up. Like, he was like, there was like pictures in a news article about it. When they showed it, there wasn't anyone there that was like taking pictures and stuff. It must have been somebody with like their cell phone.
He said it was their friends.
Yeah, like, how fucked.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense if his friends were like activists too, probably, maybe.
Yeah, I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
They're going to use it for...
Yeah.
Seems so selfish.
So anyway, he gets scolded, and then that's when Ethan Hawke like starts to turn, like at that very moment. Like he starts to like...
He meets that guy, and then he's like not in it anymore.
Like, that's the point in the movie where like he becomes obsessed with climate change, like right from there. Yeah, this movie is it's actually kind of not long, but it's a lot of scenes of like...
Well, there's a lot of scenes of him writing in the journal.
Yeah.
He writes in the journal every night, and he narrates what he's writing, and he's also quoting other things all the time. And there's a lot of like symbolic scenes. And
also Toller's obviously suffering from stomach cancer.
Yeah,
throughout the movie.
They show him pissing blood.
He's pissing blood. He's throwing up in the toilet. He's all this stuff. So
there's the scenes with his friend, the lady that was like in love with him.
Oh yeah,
was trying to spark back up a romantic relationship with him throughout the movie, and then they even hint towards the fact that he had a lapse in faith or will and had slept with her I mean, he's a reverend, so it's not like he can't. He's not a priest.
Yeah.
But it seems like he doesn't want to. And because he's not over.
But I feel like he might have kept it going until the climate change stuff took over his life. Because that's when he like snapped. And that's pretty soon after that's when he tells her, like, I forgot what he says.
Well, I think they only had sex once. That's what it seemed like. It was
but
only
he was
one
like
time,
nice.
But he was still
in the beginning of the movie, he's like nice to her.
entertaining the relationship.
But then he snaps at her and tells her, what does he say?
I despise you.
Yeah,
I despise you.
yeah.
Every action
And it's
you
like, I
do.
despise the way you make like
The way you make me feel and the way you
Yeah.
make me act.
Yeah.
The actions I take because of your actions.
Uh-huh. And Toller's a broken down man. I mean, his son, he says early in the movie when he's talking to Michael that he told, his father before him and him too also were all enlisted in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And he told his son to do it, but the wife didn't want the son to enlist.
And he convinced him to go.
And he convinced the son to go, and 6 months later he died in the Iraq War. So he's like a broken down man. His marriage failed. So all this is bubbling up into he puts everything into the climate change. Like that's like the breaking point for him. Like seeing everything around him. Like
he's drinking whiskey with
Pepto-Bismol
Pepto-Bismol mixed in.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, so like once he sees that, like the church that he is devoting his life, his basically second life, because he already had a first life, he was in the military.
In the military,
he had a good life. This is his second chance.
Yeah.
And now it's being corrupted by these big corporations, and he's seeing the toll it has on like an innocent guy, Michael. So now he's bubbling up, and now Toller is becoming a fucking jihad, as they mentioned in the movie.
Yeah.
He is.
It's true, actually.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right, so what happens next? Mary comes to the house
Late night
one night, and she's all, having like a panic attack because of the death of her husband.
And
So-
Toller's been drinking.
Yeah, he's been drinking. So then she says, will you do this thing that me and my husband used to do to calm me down, which is like I lay on top of you and we just breathe. So that seems
Face to
trippy.
face. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the trippy scene in the fucking movie. Is like she lays on top of him, and then all of a sudden they start floating upward like it's a fucking supernatural, like Hereditary style.
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
And all of a sudden they're flying through landscapes of snow-capped mountains and forests and shit.
Yeah, all in like environment.
But then it turns into climate change stuff with like tires and fucking dumps and fucking factories. And
Yeah.
it's like, I think it's just fucking the shit that's going inside of his head.
Yeah.
Like you don't even know if that scene even happened. Like, is that in his head and like when he's writing his journals?
What, even just the whole him laying with
Like,
her?
do you think that scene even happened with her laying on
Yeah.
top of him? You do think that happened? Okay,
I do.
We'll get to why I'm questioning that. Obviously, in the end of the movie,
Yeah.
but
I think that they laid on the floor together, and then obviously the abstract
like
scenery.
as soon as they close their eyes, that's what he was thinking about, right?
Yeah, I think it was just like a visual representation of the emotions that they were both feeling and the connection that was building between them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which is familiar for her because he's going down the same path that her husband went down. But yet maybe she can save him instead of how she couldn't save her husband.
Yeah. So then she's gonna move away, and he's been really consoling her through the death. And she's moving away, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the 250th anniversary of the church." And he's like, "No, don't go."
He's like, nah, well, you don't need to go. And then she's like, "No, I'm gonna." And he's like, "No, really though, I wouldn't want you to be there." She's like, No, I'm gonna go." And he's like, "No, don't go."
I don't want you there.
Yeah.
So then
I
She was
despise
just
you.
like, I was surprised that she was just kind of like, okay. Like, she wasn't like, okay.
She was probably like, "Oh my god, he's gonna blow it up with that suicide vest."
yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
She
How
knows.
could you not? I mean,
she
like,
has all the puzzle pieces.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too in that part is like, she has to know because he made it so obvious. Like, he could have like downplayed, like, no, like, I don't want you to go because I don't know what the fuck he would say.
Yeah.
But,
He's the man of the cloth, so she trusts him.
yeah.
All right. So then after that scene is basically when he's like prancing around in the fucking bomb vest,
Yeah.
He even goes and visits the factory. Was he wearing it in that scene? He was wearing the vest itself though. Remember?
Oh yeah.
I
He just had
I
the
was
vest on with
wondering
no
if
bombs.
if he did.
Yeah, I don't think the bombs were on it though.
No, because
No,
the bombs were on the outside.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he puts
He
the
didn't
vest
have the
on,
bomb strapped on.
and he wears it to he gets a tour of the factory
Yeah.
that he's like disgusted by, and then there's a cool scene actually I really liked of just him standing looking at the sunset on this factory.
Yeah.
And the sky was like purple, pinkish.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a really,
And
really
that's
good
really
shot.
cool looking. That's like something you could screenshot. Like some of like the the framing of this, because of the still shots, are actually really good in this movie.
Yeah.
Of even the Pepto-Bismol getting poured into the whiskey glass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kinda cool
that
looking.
was
Yeah,
pretty nuts.
like great cinematography. I cannot believe this movie wasn't nominated for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's shocking. Like, really. All right, so then it gets to the fucking ceremony of the 250th anniversary, and all the people were piling into the church. Cedric the Entertainer's there. The fucking head of the factory is there. That corporation's there. And then it's him in his little house that's attached to the church, and he's putting on the vest. He's getting ready.
Yeah. Full bombs and everything.
Full bombs.
Not
He
just the
finishes his
vest.
last journal entry.
Yeah.
And he's getting ready. He's got the bombs on, and then he peeks out the window, and he sees Amanda Seyfried did come.
Yeah.
Mary came.
And she's going in, and he fucking has an animalistic freak out.
Yeah, he freaks out.
And he's like,
He takes off his he takes off his priest like little uniform
his
thing.
garb.
Puts in his mouth. He's like,
He's screaming into it.
he's screaming into it, and then he's taking it off. He's getting
Deactivates
undressed.
the bombs, take it all off.
Yeah, and he's like fucking making like animalistic sounds.
Yeah, like
and he's
weird.
like fucking so pissed off.
And then he goes to plan B.
Yeah, it's plan B. And
which
he
is
fucking,
even more fucked up.
Yeah, he takes barbed wire and he wraps around his fucking body, and he's pulling it tight, and it cuts away to back to the church where they're all like, where is he? Blah blah. And then it cuts back again, and this part is graphic. It's fucking him with the barbed wire, and he's all cut up, and it's fucking gross looking.
It's super tight to his body.
Yeah, and I started to get uneasy when I saw it.
Yeah, that was super disturbing.
Then he's pouring Drano into a fucking glass.
Full glass of Drano.
Full glass of Drano. He's about to drink it to kill himself. And he turns, and Mary's standing there, and she says, Ernst. I didn't know his name was Ernst, so I was like, what does she say there?
Yeah, same thing too.
Yeah. But she says Ernst, his first name, and then he starts power walking over to her.
He drops the glass.
Drops the glass, starts power walking over to her, grabs her, and they're hugging, and then they start ferociously making out.
Yeah, it was the weirdest mouth
pumping.
like gobbing. Yeah, it was weird.
And then it just cuts to black. It
Yeah.
doesn't fade to black. It cuts to black.
Yeah.
Credits roll.
And then it even takes like 10 seconds for the credits to start.
Yeah.
You're like, is it
Teases
over?
you with
is
like
it really over?
possibility of another scene,
Oh my god.
and then the credits roll.
But after watching the ending explained that we watched from JoeBlow.com, I don't know. I actually kind of like the ending. I mean, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
And it's not like High Life where when that ended, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
But this was like, I kind
It
of
was
get
kind
it.
of powerful.
Well, I think the way it ended too, because like we were saying, when you watch it, like he had the barbed wire on, and then like when he hugged her, I noticed that, or when she hugged him, I noticed you don't see it. Yet
Yeah.
there's still blood on his shirt. So then, like and like the explanation said, is it like is he making this up in his head or whatever it may be? And it just kind of ends. So it's just kind of how you want to interpret it, I guess.
Yeah, it's left up to the viewer
Yeah.
for sure.
And the director even said that he doesn't even know the ending. It's 50-50. You can believe that he was saved by Mary, or you can believe that he was dying, choking on the Drano, and just imagine that.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm leaning towards.
Yeah.
Him not having that barbed wire underneath that cloth when she was holding
I think
him.
that's just a movie.
You think it was just the gaff? Like, does he not that part?
I just think that wasn't. It just wasn't.
It wasn't intended.
I think it's intended that he has the barbed wire on still. I just think that they didn't put the effort into it to show it under the cloth as she's hugging. I just don't think they followed through with the detail on that.
Yeah.
But it seems weird to me that he would put the barbed wire on and then put the white thing on and bleed on it, but like take the barbed wire off. Like, why would he take the barbed wire off?
I don't know.
He like literally ties it to his body.
But
He's
if
not
he was
getting that off.
saved by Mary in this fantasy thing, like the barbed wire just mysteriously.
I mean, he's gonna die anyway. He's got severe stomach cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Even if he does run away with Mary and like a happy ending,
He's not living long.
Yeah, he's got like 6 months.
Yeah, I
left.
feel like at the least bit, I feel like no matter what, he died.
Yeah.
Whether he drank the Drano and then like imagined that, or if he just completely, saw her or whether he actually did see her or not, that was just another fantasy of like what would happen. But then he actually blew him up.
Because then you could say that this earlier scene where they're laying on top of each other flying could have been just a fantasy as well.
Yeah.
Now, this movie, obviously, like we said earlier in the podcast, was kind of based off of Taxi Driver, almost like a new age Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that Taxi Driver, which came out in 1976, was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress for Jodie Foster. And I feel like this movie, I don't know, like I watch this movie, it feels like an awards movie, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It feels like this movie could have been nominated for more.
Do you think it maybe it pushes the boundaries a little too far, and it might be a little too like taboo or art housey to be considered?
Well, that movie Moonlight, which the only chases scene.
Yeah.
I mean, that won Best Picture. Now, was
Yeah.
that movie kind of artsy fartsy?
Or like
and
Birdman.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like
Yeah.
Birdman.
Yeah, like Birdman won Best
But
Picture.
I would say that this is even more out there than Birdman.
Yeah, but like, was it compared? Because Moonlight was another A24 movie. Like, what was weirder?
this was definitely
Weirder? Like,
Yeah,
all right, so maybe not
Because
weirder. I'll give it that.
Moonlight definitely wasn't weird. It was just
It's
about
safer.
like these. It was about these two like African American men, and they like knew each other when they were younger.
And they were homosexuals.
Yeah, and had like a minor gay encounter, and then like years and years later, one guy ends up seeing him at like a diner. They meet back up, and then it brings up all these like feelings and stuff, and then it shows back like how they were like when they grew up. So that was just more like heavy like more like a heady drama. Where like this had more.
Sounds like the direction of that movie is a little more concrete.
Yeah,
and easier to identify.
Yeah. And this movie just goes, I feel like, way more typical A24, where it could have like turned at some. I mean, it did. Like he was good. The priest all of a sudden, or the reverend was going to end up blowing people up. So it was like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah, he was literally like her not being there away from literally committing fucking terrorism.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's just like Taxi Driver, where like he was literally seconds away from assassinating a politician.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy that, I don't know what I'm trying to say. This movie, I feel like it should have been nominated more. I thought Ethan Hawke was amazing in it.
Yeah.
You know, I thought Cedric the Entertainer killed it. No, I'm just kidding. He was all right. He was fine.
Yeah, he was good.
He's fine. It's actually kind of cool seeing him fucking, not being a barbershop movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I thought all the characters were super believable. I mean, even like you said before, with the way it was shot between Michael and Toller, and how it was like you believed it was a conversation. Like all the scenes, I felt like I was just eavesdropping in, especially with the whole like church like life dynamic.
Yeah.
And, like they're in the building, and even with like Cedric as well. Like his character was like, I really believed like that guy like that exists in the world. You know what I mean? It was very, very, very.
He was a realistic character.
Yeah, it was, and just the dialogue and everything was.
And also, like, the
spot on.
climate change aspect of the movie, too, definitely relates to, like, current events.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the movie feels current.
Well,
Right.
the thing about it, too, is, like, you could... Excuse me. You could also, maybe not argue, but make the connection of how this reverend is almost trading. He had a terrible thing happen in his life, so he needed something to bring him back, to not really look forward to, but to kind of save him, which was religion. And then that started to fade on him when he exchanged it for global warming, and then became like extremist on that.
Yeah.
Because I also wonder that his mood really started to change when Michael asked him, will God forgive us?
Yeah, because then he was fixated on that.
Yeah, and then he even asked those guys.
He asked
like,
those
well,
guys, and he changed the church sign to that question.
So I almost wonder if that was like, is where his mind switched, and then he started trading, his faith in God and religion for, like, just going full into global
Jihadism.
warming. Yeah, jihad. Yeah,
Yeah, because he didn't have an answer,
yeah,
and he admitted to it. He said, "I don't know." He said, "Who knows the mind of God?
yeah.
It's up to us to live ethically and to hold morals."
Which
Yeah.
maybe he thought he was doing the right thing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess committing a terrorist attack would have definitely solved nothing.
Yeah, he kind of
I mean-
convinced himself that it was a greater good.
Yeah. I like the take on the global warming about like how Ethan Hawke's character Toller is like saying to Cedric like at one point in his office, like, we as like men of God and faith and whatever, we should be fighting or speaking out about global warming, because if we're believing that this is his creation and this is happening, like, and I was like, oh, that's actually kind of a,
Yeah.
I'm surprised more. I mean, I'm sure there are some religious groups, but a lot of them, I'm surprised they're not trying to.
Yeah, because the
speak
other
about
guy
it
kept
more.
saying, like, don't bring politics into
Yeah,
this. Like,
yeah.
kept saying it. And then he was like, this isn't politics. This is religion.
Yeah,
We're talking about God's creation.
All right, so let's hand it over to the facts, man.
All right.
Hit us, pal.
This movie cost $3.5 million to make.
No, I already
and it
said
was
that.
filmed in 20 days.
Oh, we already said both those.
Amanda Siegfried. You see what
Siegfried?
I did? You see what I did there?
No.
She was actually pregnant during this production.
Really?
In real life, she was pregnant.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Good for her.
That's why they cast her.
Well,
Really?
No,
Oh.
but she really was pregnant.
Wow.
okay.
So we already kind of mentioned how Paul Schrader, after actually watching the movie in the Q&A at a film festival, realized at that point how many similarities there were to Taxi. Like, he knew there was some, but then after this one film festival, he like on the board, the panel, the Q&A was like, I didn't realize there's so many things that are like tied to Taxi Driver.
Right.
Which
That's funny.
Now back to Cedric the Entertainer. The reason
Yep.
why I said his name is Cedric Kyles is because this is the first movie he's ever done where he was credited as his real name, Cedric
Really?
Kyles. Yeah.
Wow.
He was like, you know what? It's time. I'm doing a drama.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
You know, I know this is going to be mostly white people seeing this,
Yeah,
so it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
really matter.
Yeah.
Well, maybe also I wonder it'd be a hard time getting maybe he didn't expect to get nominated for anything, but to be nominated for Cedric the Entertainer.
Yeah, he thought maybe if I'm going to be going to like award shows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, this is good.
Right.
You see Ethan Hawke? That motherfucker's doing good. He thought, I was with my
Best
real
supporting
name.
role.
Yeah. He's like, if I'm getting nominated for Best Supporting Actor here.
Yeah.
So back obviously to the pregnancy as well. When Paul Schrader first met Amanda, he didn't know that she was pregnant, and then after finding out, he wrote it into the movie. So actually added it, which is kind of interesting because she is Mary, and I'm assuming he already had the name set up. So like the fact that she was pregnant to tie back into the whole religious theme, like Mary and all of that.
Yeah,
was-
like a son. I mean, obviously, he chose the name of Ethan Hawke's son as Joseph for
Yeah.
a reason.
yeah.
You know,
So some other people that were considered for Ethan Hawke's role, Jake Gyllenhaal, totally could have seen
would have
that.
killed it. A little younger, but would have killed it.
Yeah.
And Oscar Isaac, I don't know who that is.
That's from Star Wars. He's Poe Dameron. He's also in Ex
Oh, okay.
Machina.
Oh, okay,
Oh, wow.
okay, I could have seen
He would have
that.
killed it. Obviously, like a little younger.
Yeah. I think it works better with an older.
And that's exactly why. So he ended up opting for Ethan Hawke because he's 10 years older, and he had an innate air of world weariness that was appropriate for the role.
Yeah.
Kind of weathered, tattered.
Yeah.
beaten
He did
down a
kind of
little
give
bit.
off that feeling the whole time, like he was in trouble or like we were all in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was just kind of like worried of what was going to happen next.
He had those glossy eyes throughout most of the movie. You know, like
Yeah.
like the borderline crying.
And he would like look up all the time too.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he was talking to people, he would like look away from them and like look up.
Anything else, Faxman?
Yeah, and then just to kind of go back to how we were talking about the two alternate endings, Paul Schrader has claimed that when he wrote it, he wrote two alternate endings. One was which he blew the whole church up, and then the other was where he just drinks the drain cleaner and dies. But then he finally decided with the ending that we got. So originally he wrote it two alternate endings, and then
And was going to choose one.
yeah, which kind of makes sense. How like when we were watching the explaining the ending, when they said that like with that little sound clip of him, and he said like we would show audiences and have them raise their hands and try to get an even split of do you think this happened or this happened. So I almost wonder he had those two alternate endings, then it kept swaying, and then he came up with this way because ultimately everyone was right down the middle of what he
Right.
thought.
Yeah, he's trying to leave it up to us.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies where you walk out and it creates conversation.
Yeah,
which all
on
movies
the
should
ride
do.
home. Yeah, it should.
If you walk out of a movie and there's nothing to talk about, I mean that.
Yeah.
Then you're just watching a Transformers movie.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Mark Wahlberg. I'm a fucking scientist.
All right, let's move to the review, man. Before you talk, let me say the Rotten Tomatoes. It got a 93%.
Wow.
Wow, really?
Very high, very high.
Yeah, Metacritic, it was like an 85 I saw on the IMDb
Very high
thing.
for that.
Wow.
It's got a 68% audience score.
Which is interesting because on the Amazon, well, I mean, this was on Amazon Prime. If you want to watch it,
Yeah, a 3,
stream
right?
it for free. Yeah, it was only 3, but that's
Yeah.
also a user. So I could,
Yeah.
this is yet again with an A24, totally see it having a lower user score because people may just be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I
fucking
mean, the
guy
audience score on
puts-
Rotten Tomatoes was a 68, so 3 stars. That's a 60.
Yeah,
So that's right around where I could see it. I could see people being turned off.
Yeah.
What's the IMDb score?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I can pull it up. All right, go ahead. What's the? Give us your reviews, Tom.
All right, I'm going to start with the good review. This person gave it a 10 out of 10. No, he doesn't go forward with the suicide bombing, which would have been a wonderfully dark and explosive finale for a slow burn of the rest of the film preceding it. But also, I don't think he makes out with his girlfriend, in quotation marks, as another reviewer put it. He wraps himself in barbed wire, an update on Christ's crown of thorn, and a well-done visual, both graphic and slightly understated at the same time. And he pours that Drano, and then when we get the last temptation of Christ moment, he does drink that Drano, and then in that moment of sacrificing himself, which will indeed be enough of a spectacle to draw public attention to the cause, he imagines her coming to him, and he imagines a happy ending, and then the film cuts to black mid-scene because the Drano has done its job. He's died. People will ask questions. The church's association with polluters will come to light. I like that because this person kind of came up with an idea on their own that, no, I haven't heard from anyone else or anything that we saw. Like the idea that, okay, it's like 50-50, he did die or he didn't die. Okay, in the 50-50, the 50% that he did die, what's the purpose?
Yeah.
What was the purpose of him killing himself?
Yeah.
What was the plan B? Why was there a plan at all? What was the plan?
Yeah.
Obviously, plan A was to blow up the Cedric, the entertainer,
And the CEO.
and the CEO of the fucking companies, right? Which would have caused a ripple in the water. So what was plan B's purpose? And hopefully to draw enough attention to maybe figure out what the hell was going on and uncover some secrets and figure out and just maybe cause another ripple in the water that would maybe shed light on the investing thing where the church was like a primary beneficiary of the company or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
It's almost like you had two choices, like external, internal. Either you go explosive and sacrifice like citizens and just innocent lives, or take it all upon himself to send a message. As did Christ.
And it's interesting. Like in either way, he's killing himself.
Yeah,
like he's definitely killing himself. Like that was like
die. He died.
Right.
Because also the way that she hugged him, and then there was no barbed wire, and then like we also saw in the video we watched afterwards, the camera. How the entire movie it's still shot, but then that camera has like this like whirling kind of dreamy effect. You know?
Yeah. All right, now I'm gonna do the bad one. 1 out of 10. The Emperor has no clothes. I don't know why it says that. This is not an example of cinematic genius because of the director and references to other films. People seem to think this film falls into the genius category. Not so. This movie starts out well. Even the exposition, the middle, is good. However, the ending makes no sense whatsoever. If one does not have the references of earlier films, what good is the ending? Taken on its own merits, the movie, or at least its ending, is a huge question mark. Every movie should be able to be judged on its own, not on its references to earlier works. It's a good excuse for a lot of pseudo-intellectual exposition. The director has played a huge joke on everyone. The movie, in the end, has no meaning. Ethan Hawke is marvelous. If you are a fan of his, see it. Otherwise, don't waste your money, unless you are into that pseudo-intellectual phoniness slash joke that this movie represents. And that was a very high-rated review by people.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Because I do kind of like how they point out that, like, it's like, oh, this movie's just like Taxi Driver. It's like, okay, that's kind of dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's cool, but if you haven't seen Taxi Driver...
Yeah, but I don't think the movie relies on that, though. Do you?
I think it might solidify its meanings.
I guess, yeah.
Because it's like two samples of the same thing.
Yeah.
So you can be like, oh, yeah, it is just like that other movie. And like that movie is probably, what is that, like a 9 out of 10?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one's critically even liked more, and this movie was.
So if you've seen that and you love that, then you see this, it just gives you a reference point, like you could just be like a confirmation bias, like, yeah, this is great. Yeah, oh yeah, it's just like that other movie.
Yeah, I guess like because I've never seen Taxi Driver, so if I have and I really liked that movie and then saw this movie, I'd be like, oh yeah. I mean, I'd probably like the movie, but I definitely would.
I mean,
see
maybe
it
it's not
different.
even a bad thing. I guess only if you haven't seen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It definitely means less if you've watched the spiritual successor to a movie that you've never seen. You know, like it definitely means less.
Yeah,
you know. Well, I think as a movie by itself, it's pretty good, right?
No, I like it. I thought it was a good,
yeah. And then the other thing, this isn't a review, but it's one of the quotes. Courage is the solution to despair. Reason provides no answers. I can't know what the future will bring. We have to choose despite uncertainty. Wisdom is holding two contradictory truths in our mind simultaneously, hope and despair. A life without despair is a life without hope. Holding these two ideas in our head is life itself. And I think I like that one because I remembered that from the movie.
I remember, yeah.
And I was like, fuck, what was that quote? I want to find it.
And also at the very end, it's like he's going to blow it up, which is despair. Then hope is where he gets saved by Mary.
Yeah.
Yep.
And on all of our other podcasts, we always say that A24 movies have always like almost like a one word, like deep thing that you could kind of put it down to. And I think this one might be the like hope and despair, 2 words.
Yeah.
You know, just like that balance of the two. And I think the theme of this movie is despair, of being in despair and then trying to find hope and a way out. And like that's what his story shows. You know, it was like he's looking, constantly searching for validation of a new life. And like we said, it was the church at first, and then the church starts to fall through. But yet he says, my faith hasn't fallen.
Yeah.
But his belief in the system that he works for, it has. So then he takes his faith and he channels it into a new outlet. And then like he has that scene where he goes to the plant, and it's like he's just justifying his beliefs and just basically confirming it to himself that he's doing the right thing and he's doing the righteous and following the righteous path. And then at the end, when again he finds despair on the same level, he's on down this path, I'm gonna do this, and then it all falls down because Mary comes.
Yeah.
And I can't do this. And now he's left to what would have been the most gruesome and loneliest option. Her not walking in, and he like literally just dies on the ground, because I think she did walk in, and I think he didn't kill himself. I think he's still gonna die because he's all cut up and he's got fucking terrible cancer. But I think the scene where she comes to his house and they talk and they lay on the ground, I think that was real. I just think it was, you know, just accentuated by the fucking scenes of them flying through. And then I think the scene at the end where she walks in, it made sense because Cedric went and looked for him.
Yeah.
And then it was like kind of weird when he just gave up. Like he like banged on the door and he's like, "Oh, are you there?" And then he's like, "All right," and he just goes back into the church. And then he like goes up to the chick that he had some kind of relationship with, and he's like, "Where is he?" Start the sermon. Like, and then it's like, is anyone going to look for him? And of course, if anyone was going to, it would be Mary. Yeah. You know, it's obvious that he's not there, that he's missing. People are going to ask questions. So then her walking in made sense to me. And then he drops the Drano and he finds hope in his despair. Again, he gives into having hope, and like that maybe he could have a better life or a second life or a third life, where with the other chick he was so pushed back by it, you know, that channel didn't work, and it was like that's why he just basically told her off and told her she was a fucking disappointment to him, and and just fucking totally burned her in the hallway.
Oh, I like the way you broke the movie down, Tom.
Yeah, that's my.
I think you swayed me. I think
that's my take on it.
I think I like your take.
But I think the overall theme again is that he's still gonna die.
Oh yeah.
His life is still broken. Yeah. It's like the church. The church is still 250 years old. Yeah. It's just the constant trying to upkeep. Why would you fix the organ? Because you have hope that the church can continue. It's like hope and despair, hope and despair. That's like back and forth. The fucking sink breaks, he fixes it. The sink breaks again. He's like, I'll give it another shot. Yeah. Like he's like constantly this back and forth of broken, fixed. Oh. So I think that reflected in his story arc.
Yeah, it could go down to the viewer's decision of what do you want to believe in, hope or despair.
Yeah. And then like Michael, for example, couldn't find hope. Yeah. In his despair, couldn't find hope and blew his head off with a shotgun. Yeah. And you saw what he lost. He lost out on life and on Mary and a child. Yeah.
Wow, baby girl.
See, this movie's creating, good conversation.
Yeah, definitely a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I haven't talked this much since Yoga Hosers.
The IMDb rating was 7.1. Yeah. By the way.
For user?
Yep.
Oh, that's higher than I expected.
Yeah. It's right around 6.8. 68 for fucking Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to our review. and we'll give you the A24 Pods
Review.
which is based out of a
Best out of 8.
best out of 24.
3/8.
We each get 8 points. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
What to give it? Initially, I want to give it a 6.5. By doing that, then I thought about mid-90s, and I said, okay, what were my feelings about mid-90s overall that warranted a 6.5? I can't give this movie way better acting, way better acting, No, actually, then I just talked myself out of it. I'd give it a 7 because it's a top a notch above mid-90s where the dialogue, even though it was slow. And most movies that get slow like this are really, really hard to follow and you lose interest. I still, for the most part, was paying attention to all the dialogue because it really felt like, I was in the conversation almost in a way and I was expected to listen. But, I think a 7.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
What do you think, though?
I mean, I did like the movie and Ethan Hawke was really great and the cinematography was good. But overall, I'm going to give it a 5.5.
Okay.
Because I kind of just feel like maybe it was a little lackluster for me. I really liked the undertone meanings, but the delivery on it was a little boring for me.
Okay.
This movie bordered on a little bit boring.
Yeah, it did. It would get. It would go up and down. It'd be like, okay, he's gonna snap. Like you're waiting. You're waiting for something.
Like if I'm
crazy to happen.
Like if I'm comparing its peaks and lows to other movies' peaks and lows, where we could say like Midsommar, where it was like the parents gassed out, that was way more powerful than Michael's head blown off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the barbed wire. Like, so it didn't quite reach there on the peaks, and then the lows I think were a little bit.
Yeah, I think actually I have to
comparable.
revise mine and take it down a notch.
Okay.
Because with mid-90s, it was that it was entertaining. So sometimes the dialogue and the acting was but it was pretty entertaining and it was fun to watch and see the references.
Yeah.
Whereas with this movie, the acting was there and the dialogue was there, but it was slow and it did get slow. And then it was a cool ending, but you kind of thought that you were going to get a bigger payoff because the way that it was going.
Yeah.
So I feel like it is. I guess it's equal. So I think.
Yeah, really floated right in the middle there for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way it was shot. I think that alone can elevate it much higher than mid-90s or fucking High Life.
Yeah.
No, I thought the acting, like I said, I thought he should have been
The
nominated.
acting was really good.
I thought he should have been nominated easily. I thought the dialogue was extremely well written.
Yeah.
Definitely deserves an Oscar.
And it was kind of similar to the bad review that you read, which was like that person gave the respect to Ethan Hawke and was like, oh yeah, this is like an amazing movie that he's in. They just didn't like the ending.
Right.
So it's like I can still kind of,
I don't even mind the ending.
Yeah, I don't even
The
mind
ending's
it
fine to
either.
me.
Yeah.
It's just just didn't really live up to it for me.
All right, well, I added up with the calculator
6.5, 7,
and a 5 point.
18.5.
No, it was
17.6.
No, it was a 19.
No, 1.4.
No, it was 19 out of 24,
Okay.
and it equaled to 79.
Wow.
So yeah, we're right there.
That's pretty
No, that's good.
That's
I mean, as
about right.
far as that's like close to critic.
Yeah.
Closer to critic.
Yeah, it's closer to the Metascore, the 85. A little higher
Which
than the
makes-
audience score.
Which makes sense because like we keep talking about the A24 movies. Either you're going to connect with them and enjoy, the weird, the weird journey it's going to take you on or not. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
like
wanted to
I even
pay for
felt like I connected to a lot of that. It was like it was really powerful.
yeah,
But
the despair and hope was really when he was talking about that. I was like, wow, that's like a mind blown, different perspective.
yeah, I don't know. It's just something about it. It was just I don't know. Like in high school, I had this English teacher, and he was like a really great teacher. He was super smart, and he like had a master's degree in like old English and shit like that. But when he would teach class, the way he would talk was so monotone, I would almost fall asleep every class.
Yeah.
So it was like I liked the guy. He was smart, and I liked what he taught. But the class just couldn't do it for me.
It's like, well, yeah, you can appreciate the movie for what it did.
Yeah,
But it's just like, are you going to ever recommend it or even rewatch it?
I'll
And for
never
you-
rewatch this movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For you, it'd be no. And for me, it's a no too, probably. But
It's
Yeah.
just too
I can
slow.
definitely appreciate the way it was shot, all that stuff. So.
If you guys weren't there, I would have fallen asleep.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
I
why
was-
yours is a 5.5.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why towards the end
Yeah.
of it, that's why I was was kind of trying to keep my eyes open.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like Midsummer, man. That movie was exciting.
And the movie was longer.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like 45 more minutes
And it was
longer.
exciting.
Yeah. And like if you compare this movie to another movie of the same year, you were never really here, which is similar. Both kind of
That's
taxi
not
driver.
A24, is it?
No, it's not.
Too bad.
But both, taxi driver inspired movies. I think that one's better.
Yeah.
You were really never here is a fucking phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
See,
that movie is because it's like heady, but like it's intense. So it's like, and I guess you could say entertaining, but it just like you just get glued like on the edge of your seat.
and it's
like,
shorter.
what the
It's like an
fuck?
hour and a half. That movie's short.
I think with these movies too that are like that are like have all these themes and you walk a thin line if you're going to go more than an hour and a half of being like drawn out and boring and keeping people engaged. Like I think hour and a half for movies like these should be the goal.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you're gonna
longer.
be, if you're gonna be like experimental, like these type of movies are,
Yeah.
I think 90 minutes is like the perfect time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got like half an hour to lay it down, half an hour to be in it, and then half an hour to clean it up.
Yeah, maybe if it had done that, if it had delivered a more direct
It was an hour and
message.
53 minutes. Obviously, some of those were credits. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that 23 minutes would have made a huge difference.
Yeah, if they
'Cause
shortened it up.
There was like a 15-minute point, but now that I think of it, that it was like maybe like a cumulative over a few things, but where I started to get tired. And
Yeah.
kind of like a
Yeah.
because the movie starts off strong.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's definitely the middle is when it's
It's like no Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that movie was great, but like that movie was long and slow.
and
I know it's
I
funny.
haven't
You
seen
forget
it.
if you actually sit down to watch the whole thing, then you're like, oh, I forgot. There's a lot of
Yeah.
between certain points where when it gets good.
Like Dallas Buyers Club. I haven't even seen that, but that seems like one of those movies.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a great movie. That movie's great, but it's long
You don't
and slow.
You don't rewatch it.
Yeah.
All you remember
Well,
is the
that
big
movie would
scenes.
be like I watched like Bethany had never seen it, so I watched it with her, but it had been years, so that's like perfect. Probably like once every 5 years. Like,
Yeah,
oh, you
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen it?
Yeah.
When was last time? Oh yeah, it's time. We can watch it.
Yeah.
But that movie's also like not necessarily a classic, but compared to this movie, it's probably a classic. Like you could rewatch Dallas Buyers Club every 5 years.
Yeah.
Are you gonna rewatch
movie-
this?
No, what's the point?
No.
Especially like I don't know. With movies like this where you're trying to figure out and debate the ending and this means that. As soon as you really see it, how many more? I don't know. I guess there's some
It was
movies
for me.
that
It was
watch.
fun. It was fun to watch it. It was fun to dig into it. It was fun to derive a meaning from it. It was a good chew,
Yeah.
but it was just a fast food burger.
Yeah.
That's hung around a little too long in my gut.
It served its purpose.
Yeah,
And we
this
gave it a
wasn't a
respectful
fine-
review. We gave it like almost an 80.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, we can't be fucking too picky here.
Ideally, I would feel like I would try. We should land in between the critic and user review.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between there, I feel like is where we
Which
should
I think
land.
we have for the most part.
Yeah. The system is fucking perfect.
Oh my God. We are fucking geniuses.
We're onto
Yeah, because
something.
even now we work. Because if it was a 70
Yeah.
user, and then it's like what 90 on Rotten Tomatoes, 85 or whatever Metacritic, and we had it pinned at what
79.
Yeah.
So we're right there.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
Love it. Snap it.
All right. Well, that's episode 5.
What are we doing next
Congratulations.
week? We're going to announce it.
I don't
now?
know. No, we haven't announced
We'll
ever,
deliberate.
so we gotta
Deliberate.
we gotta pick that. I don't know.
All right, maybe it'll be a Chris Farley flick.
Yeah, I don't
It's
think
gonna
so.
be Dumb and Dumber.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.
Until next time.